Okay, and that is respiration in plants. Okay. So we did that something about aerobic and anaerobic differences we studied. Okay, I think you must be remembering that.
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So that is good. So let's see what has to be done over here right now. So first of all, let's see what do you mean by the word when you say respiration in plants? Because even human beings respire, even other living organisms like microorganisms do the respiration, plants do the respiration, but there is little bit of difference uh, between the respiration for us and for the plants. So, if we say that respiration is definitely exchange of gases, okay, and if we say about physical respiration, that means uh, whatever oxygen is there, it should reach to our lungs, and carbon dioxide has to come out from it. That is a physical respiration what we people do. Okay, and even some of the organisms show this type of these animals, all group of higher group of animals do the all this type of respiration. So this is a sort of physical respiration, okay, where only the exchange of gases occurs. So, if you have a proper respiratory system uh, for humans, for other animals, okay, they have a proper respiratory system. They have particular organs organized for that particular process. So, that process is called physical respiration. But there is little bit one more difference is there, that if we talk about cellular respiration, if we take up this word, then that means that whenever the body requires the energy, okay, and whenever there is a need of the energy or the requirement of energy is there, at that time the cell present in the whole body, wherever it is there, there, and for plants basically what happens that this process occurs in our body also. Each and every cell does this process. Okay, so cellular respiration, that means it is breakdown of glucose for what? For energy requirement. Okay. So that is what you have to understand. That means if glucose is present inside your body, okay, then that glucose should be uh, broken down with the help of oxygen. It is also utilizing oxygen, okay, and this gives out 6CO2 plus 6H2O, okay, plus energy. So when glucose in presence of oxygen is broken down in presence of particular enzymes. Okay. So here enzymes also are very important. They are very specific with their work. Okay, so breaking down of the glucose molecule in presence of oxygen with the help of enzymes into carbon dioxide and water molecule, which releases energy. That is called cellular respiration. Understood this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. Now see this, that uh, this particular process is not a simple one reaction. Okay, it is a chain of reactions, series of reactions occurs, and then only this can be completed. It's a long process. Okay, and for this, let me say, if we C6, take this C6H12O6, that is for us, it is considered as a glucose molecule. Glucose is considered as the simplest carbohydrate. Okay, that is the simplest form of carbohydrate which can be proceeded for this reaction. You must have heard that in the school, basically, if you have seen that if somebody is feeling little bit of dizzy, or somebody is feeling low, or somebody falls down in the prayer ground or PT ground, then school authority rush with the glass of glucose dissolved in the water, and ask them to drink it as soon as possible. Okay, so why? Because glucose, which is available, is a simplest form of carbohydrate, and it can be absorbed very easily by the cells. Okay, it can be absorbed very, because it is very small molecule and very simple form. So it can be absorbed very easily and very quickly, very fast. The cells can absorb it. Okay, so that is why the glucose is considered the basic simple carbohydrate to be given whenever the energy requirement is there. Okay, and you must have felt this, that if you don't eat proper, if you skip the meal, suppose if you skip the breakfast, suppose if you skip the lunch, then after 4 to 5 hours you feel like little bit low, you don't feel good, you don't feel energetic, because the carbohydrate is a very simple one, it cannot be stored in your body. Okay, so once it is available, it is utilized by the cells and it provides energy. So whatever source of energy is there in your body, once it is utilized, then you start feeling little bit of lower. That's why that is called uh, simplest form of molecule which can provide energy. And out of this, the whole body, the huge requirement, more than 50% is utilized by your brain. That's why when you don't eat, when you skip the meal, you feel low, and your brain doesn't work because glucose is not available to it. Okay, so 60 to 70% of your food glucose, whatever you eat, out of it, 60 to 70% of glucose is utilized by the brain, and rest of the other is fulfilling the energy requirement of your body. So that is why the glucose is very much important, very much uh, necessary. So do understand this. Now, uh, if you understand this, then as I said, that this process is not as simple as it looks. Okay, it is not only a one reaction. To complete this reaction, there are two types of phases. So phases are, first one is called glycolysis, glycolysis also, anything you can say. Okay, and another one is Krebs cycle. Krebs is the name of the scientist who discovered it. That's why Krebs cycle. And what do you mean by glycolysis? That means glyco, that means glucose, and lysis means to break. Okay. Lysis means to break down, and glyco, that is glucose. To break the glucose is the first phase of this cellular respiration. Okay, so in this process, what happens that glucose, because it is having 6 carbons in it. Here, carbon is playing a very important role. Okay, so it is basically, if you will move for the higher classes, and if you are considering biology, then you will understand that sugars are identified on the basis of carbon. So for glucose, basically what, if you study for the higher class, then it will be named as 6 carbon sugar. Okay, so glucose, because it is having 6 carbons, it should be broken down into 3 carbon sugars. Okay, 2 molecules of 3 carbon sugar, and that is called pyruvate. It is a 3 carbon molecule. Okay, so it is because this is a big chain. Glucose is a big chain of 6 carbon. 6. So it's a big chain. It should be broken down into like this. Okay, because it is, this one is smaller, it will be easier to work upon, and it will be easier for the cell to break the bonds. I think you study chemistry, and in that you do understand what do you mean by breaking down the bonds. Okay, right? So that is what a glycolysis is, the first phase. Then second phase. In second phase, what happens that this pyruvate is 3 carbon molecule. You will get 2 because it's a 6 carbon. If you break this down, you will get 2 pyruvate molecules. Okay. So these 2 pyruvate molecules should be converted into CO2 and H2O plus energy. Okay, so CO2 and H2O, and that should be 6 CO2 and 6 H2O. Is it clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So let's see that this particular thing, these are 2 phases of cellular respiration, and this glycolysis have so many series of reaction, then only this will be happening. Then again, Krebs cycle is also having a different set of reactions. uh, at least you have 12 to 14 chain of reactions, then only this will occur. Okay, now whatever you are visualizing, it is not that simple that it should be broken down, so that this is also a very long process. So now let's understand this, that this phase, location is very important for this, where this phase occurs in cytoplasm. Okay. So this phase occurs in cytoplasm, while Krebs cycle occurs in mitochondria of the cell. I think you are clear with the organelles of the cell,
Yes, Miss.
right? So that is what the thing is. Glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell, while Krebs cycle occurs in the mitochondria of the cell. So that is what you have to understand when you talk about cellular respiration. Now, if you see this cellular respiration, this is a very important part of it, because this will make you understand how the energy can be released. Okay. Now see, let me, shall I turn this page?
Yes, Miss. Yes, Miss.
So see, we will go for further explanation regarding this. Hmm, fine. So, very important about this cellular respiration, that whatever reactions are occurring for glycolysis, okay, for glycolysis and for Krebs cycle. Okay. So glycolysis is lysis of glucose, that is to break down the glucose, and Krebs cycle, it's a name of scientist. So just remember that Hans Krebs was there who discovered this cycle, this type of phase. So Krebs cycle. Now, as these series of reactions are occurring in this type of phases, so they are all at each and every step. Suppose if you have glucose, it goes for series of reaction X, Y, Z, and after that pyruvate. Okay, and here also if you have pyruvate, it also goes for further reactions. Okay, then you get CO2 and H2O. At each and every step, wherever the products are formed from the reactants, there are enzymes are involved. So they are very much enzyme specific reaction. Okay, enzyme 1, 2, here 3 is there, here also there must be enzymes. So it is very enzyme specific reaction. What type of enzymes and what are the name of the enzymes, that you don't have to bother right now. But you require a specific enzyme for a particular reaction. If any of the enzyme is absent in between, then the reaction will not be proceeded. Understood? And I think you must be knowing about the definition of enzyme, that enzymes are biocatalyst, and they can fasten up the reaction, they can speed up the reaction. You know the definition of enzyme?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, fine. So, because enzyme speeds up the reaction, and for our body, for body of the plant, for human body, for everywhere, energy is always a priority. It is a quick requirement. So enzyme involvement at each and every step is there. Then only this reaction can be done within milliseconds in our body, or if you go for plants anywhere. So that is why the involvement of enzyme is very important. Then this particular cycle, this particular phases, that shows that, because glucose is a chemical, right? So chemical energy in form of ATP is obtained. So ATP is a energy molecule. Okay, it is, that is what the name of energy, that is adenosine triphosphate. So this particular form of energy is obtained by these phases, these type of reaction. So let's see if this is a ATP molecule, and because triphosphate, you should have three phosphates when you talk about ATP. Okay, let me write over here this adenosine triphosphates. So see this, that this ATP, it will release energy. Okay, how it will be releasing energy? That whenever this bond of phosphate breaks down, okay, whenever this ATP is formed by this cellular respiration, but now how ATP will release energy, that means it will break down this bond of phosphate. So if this is the picture, then what will happen? This ATP will be having now only two phosphates with it. Okay, now this is called adenosine diphosphate. Okay, so a when this molecule is formed, it will break down this particular phosphate from it, and it will be converted into adenosine diphosphate. And breaking down this particular bond, and removal of phosphate from this particular chain, that will release energy. Okay, that will release energy. And I think you must be knowing that kilocalorie is the unit for the energy. So a huge amount of energy will be released whenever the ATP is converted into ADP. Okay, so that is how it is happening. But our body doesn't keep ADP like this only. It will be soon reconverted into ATP. That means in the cell, wherever the other free phosphate is there, it will come over here and will get attached to this ADP soon, so that it should be reconverted into ATP, and it should be again available to release the energy. Now you may ask me that, ma'am, other two phosphates are there, they should be also broken down to release the energy. So see what happens, that whenever you have a regular food supply, whenever the plant is having a continuous supply of proper minerals, proper nutrition, then and even in our body, if this reaction is happening, do understand that ATP releases energy by converting itself into ADP. That means removal of phosphate. But these two phosphates are not broken down regularly. Okay, these are broken down whenever the body is suffering from starvation, okay, or body is fasting heavily. Then only there will be the crisis of breaking these bonds. Okay, so basically regularly what happens, that only ATP is converted into ADP, then ADP should be reconverted into ATP, because free phosphate which you are obtaining from your food, okay, which plants are absorbing from the soil, are also available. So that free phosphate will suddenly come up, and it will join again with this ATP to form the ATP. Have you understood this?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. So that is what the ATP and ADP formation is. So Now this is what the chemical form of energy present in our body. And when you are exercising, okay, you can see that in the Bollywood stars or or whatever the fitness icons who are coming up on the televisions or anywhere else. If they are showing you the fitness routine, it's a very hectic one, it's a very heavy one, that one which they are following. You must have seen them. They are having a continuous sip of something which is filled in their bottle. Okay, so that is an energy drink. I think you must have heard about it. And because they are having a heavy physical exercise, at that time their body is doing this process in a very fast manner. That's why they are continuously sipping up the energy drink, so that this should be available continuously. Understood?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So that is what is their chemical form of energy, ATP. Now see, all these process glycolysis Krebs cycle, that means cellular respiration phases, occurs just to form a ATP. Understood? Now the miracle is that only one glucose is there. If you have only one glucose molecule with you, it will give you 38 ATP. So, can you see that how much uh, proper type of reaction can occur to release such a huge amount of energy? One molecule of glucose, it releases 38 ATP, and you are having a spoonful of glucose. When you feel low, you just take a spoonful of glucose and you just dissolve it in the water and drink it. In that, thousands of molecules of glucose are there. So can you imagine how your body can react? It gives you the boost of energy suddenly. That is why in advertisement also you must have seen that if glucose, Glucon-D, all these ads are coming. If that particular mm, icon who is delivering this advertisement, in that what they show you, that they are feeling low and suddenly they drink that particular glucose or Glucon-D, and then the huge energy is released in their body and they do all the work very fast. So just imagine if one glucose releases 38 ATP, when you have thousands of glucose with you, how much amount of energy can be released? Understood?
Yes, miss.
Fine. Okay. So this is what the reaction is, and this particular reaction is a aerobic form of reaction. Okay, aerobic respiration. That means whatever we have understood, these phases are aerobic cellular respiration. That means aerobic cellular respiration have two phases, glycolysis and Krebs cycle. And this particular reaction is responsible to release the energy in plants, in humans, in any of the living organism you can talk about. Got it?
Yes, miss.
Right? So basically what we are understanding right now in plants. So we will talk about plants only. Now, because this is the aerobic form of reaction, let's see what happens with the anaerobic. There may be the possibility sometimes no oxygen is available. in your in the surrounding of the plants, because the chapter is based on plants. Let's see what happens if oxygen in the surrounding environment is not available. Then what the plants will do? Okay, for some time, for some moment, they can also respire anaerobically. But do understand this, it is a very critical process. So plants cannot survive on it for a week or for the 24 or 48 hours. It is only for some time. If oxygen is not available, they will go for it anaerobic reaction, anaerobic respiration. And if it is considered that no supply of oxygen is there, then plant will die, because anaerobic respiration is not the nature of the plant. Okay, so let's see what happens with the anaerobic reaction. Okay, so now see, anaerobic means absence of oxygen. Okay, see, because when we talk about aerobic and anaerobic, okay, for aerobic you write that presence of oxygen is must. That means compulsory. For anaerobic, you should not write presence of CO2. That is a wrong definition. What you should say? Absence of oxygen leads to the anaerobic respiration. Is it clear to you?
Yes, Miss.
Fine. So, choice of words for the definition is very important. For anaerobic respiration, you should say that absence of oxygen leads to the anaerobic condition, and that leads to the anaerobic respiration in plants. Now, what happens with the anaerobic respiration? Let's see for this, that for this particular process also you require glucose, C6H12O6. Okay, this is the molecule which play the role over here also. And this because oxygen is not available, it breaks down and it gives you ethyl alcohol. Okay, it gives you ethyl alcohol, that is C2H5OH. Okay, two molecules of C2H5OH, plus it will also give you two molecules of CO2. Okay, and this will also release energy. This particular type of reaction will also release energy, and but that means here you are getting 38 ATP from one glucose. In aerobic respiration, you are obtaining 38 ATP, while here you are will be obtaining only 2. So this is the huge difference. Do you understand? Is it clear to you?
Yes, Miss.
Fine. So that is what I have to make you understand. That absence of oxygen you have to write, because here it releases CO2 after utilizing the glucose molecule. Got it? So that is what we say, that this glucose is converted into ethyl alcohol and it releases CO2, and only two ATP molecules are released. So the energy produced by this reaction is very small, very low. And suppose due to some crisis, If oxygen is not available in the surrounding of the plant, then for a while it can go for anaerobic respiration, but it will not be continued for the longer duration. Otherwise, plant will die soon. Okay, there may be the possibility that out of whole plant, some of the area of the plant is not receiving the oxygen. Then the cells present in that zone can perform anaerobic respiration. But if again for them also, if oxygen is not available, that particular zone can die for that particular plant. Okay, but some bacteria are present in the nature. They are strictly anaerobic. They prefer only anaerobic condition. For them, oxygen is the poisonous one. Oxygen acts as a poison for them because they don't like oxygen at all. That's why they are called anaerobic microorganisms or anaerobic bacteria. Okay, so for some microorganism, anaerobic respiration is a boon. Okay, and but for others, it is not like same thing. They cannot perform anaerobic respiration all the time. Okay, you must have seen that idli batter and dosa batter. Okay, what you do? Your mother do the fermentation for the overnight. Keep it for a overnight so that it can ferment, and it gives you the desired result, desired taste. And that is just because it that rice and whatever mixture you have prepared is having glucose, and the bacteria present in that batter will produce alcohol and CO2. That's why after keeping it for a overnight, you see it becomes fluffy. It comes up because of production of CO2 from the bacteria, and it turns little bit sour in taste. Okay, if you taste it, it becomes little bit sour. It is because of production of alcohol. Understood this?
Yes, Miss.
Fine. So that is what is happening with the anaerobic respiration. And do understand, it is not the nature of the plant. It is only for some of the microorganism. Anaerobic respiration is their nature, or it is good for them. Okay, so do understand this. Now, uh, once this is clear to you, aerobic and anaerobic respiration and how the amount of energy is released from them, let's see further that because energy is released from these reactions. Okay, and uh, this particular whatever reactions are occurring, they are responsible for the activity of our body, because energy whatever is produced will be utilized by our body in several activities, in all the activities we do. So let's see, that means metabolism. Okay, metabolism, very important word. You must have heard it, or I think you must have read it too, or in TV, in newspaper, or wherever you are reading something about nutrition, then definitely metabolism word comes up. Okay, so what do you mean by actually metabolism? Metabolism occurs in the plants also. Metabolism is there in small. Metabolism occurs in our body, in animals, no matter if they live in water, they fly in the sky, or they live on the land wherever the living organisms are there, metabolism occurs. So what do you mean by actually metabolism? is that metabolism is made up of two types of process. Let's take that. First is catabolism and another one is anabolism. Okay, so kata and ana, what is that? So all the reactions, okay, let's see, all the reactions I am talking about. Okay. So kata means which breaks down the thing. Okay, kata means which breaks down the particular molecule. That means it utilizes energy. What does it do? It utilizes energy. All the reactions in the cell, in the body, which utilizes energy are called catabolism. Okay, while ana means, ana word means to make up, to join, to process the thing for the constructive purpose, not for the destruction. So that means whatever reaction in your body release energy, all that those reactions are called anabolism. Have you understood the difference?
Yes, Miss.
Fine. So when now see this in our body, both of them are there. Okay, both will be occurring parallelly. It is not like that because this type of reactions are utilizing the energy, they should stop because energy is produced from the glucose. Okay, this glucose is giving you the energy for physical activities, and it also gives produces the energy for the other reactions in the body. So whatever energy is produced by the glucose, it is not like that because it is utilizing that particular energy, it should stop. It should not be the thing. Both of them work parallelly. Some reactions breaks down the thing, some reactions make up the thing. Some reactions utilizes the energy, some reactions releases the energy, and both of them will combine to make metabolism. Understood?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, so you must have heard about the advertisement which comes with the herbal tea or green tea. In that, you hear this word that to for the proper metabolism of the body, just have a green tea in a day and your metabolism will be okay. Just see that advertisement and you will come to know. Then that means your metabolism will be balanced or it is working properly. That means both of them are balanced. In some people what happens that this become fast and this becomes slow, so those people becomes little bit lethargic, feel tired, feel sick, feel not happy, and they are depressed. Something like that is like that happens into their body. And in some people what happens, this is more and this is less. So what happens, they are very energetic, very fast, they can't sit for a while. That is what is happening with them. So both of them has to be balanced. It should not be like if any one of them will slow down, that will be a difficulty for the organism for to maintain that imbalance in their body. Understood?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. If, rest of the others are also getting me?
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
miss.
Okay, fine. So that is what the basic thing about respiration, metabolism, catabolism, anabolism. Okay. Now, uh, 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 if this particular activity, just in your textbook, read the definition given for metabolism and that means catabolism and anabolism reaction. Just go through it. Have you gone through it? Understood?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So everybody has seen that definition. Is there any doubt or any word you have not understood from the book?
No, miss, no doubts.
No doubts. And I think, is there any difference given between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration?
Yes, miss, yes, miss.
Just go through it also. If different in the form of difference it is given, just go through the difference only. Is it done?
Yes, miss.
Fine. Anything to be asked from that content?
No, miss.
Is it okay? Is it clear? Is it thorough in your mind now?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Fine. So if that much part you have understood, then it will be easier for you for the further one. Okay. So basically, what happens that let's take this topic also that is given in your book, that respiration is compared to the burning. Okay, that means respiration is because burning also a process in which CO2 is released. So those are compared. Let's see what is the importance of this comparison. Um, respiration and burning. Okay, so let's see with the difference. So let's write this. So if we go for respiration, first of all, do understand that that respiration is a biochemical process. Okay, it's a biochemical. That means you require a living organism for the respiration to occur. For this process, you require a living entity. Okay, bio means wherever the word bio is there, that means that particular process or that particular object is dealing with the living one, living organism. That's why biochemical. Chemicals of the living organism are utilized in this process, and that is why it is called biochemical process. While burning is nothing but it's a physical process, physical and chemical. So let's team it up as physico-chemical process. Okay, so this is biochemical and this is physical chemical. So physico-chemical should be there. Now see this, that this particular respiration is a cellular one. Whatever we have studied, cellular respiration is we have seen, but here nothing like that is required. Okay, here we require a particular cell, living cell for the respiration, while here that is not the requirement. And see, this respiration is one which is dependent on enzymes. Okay, if enzymes are not there, respiration is not possible. Okay, it is not possible to finish the respiration process in the required time, in the given time. So it completely depends on enzymes, while here it is not the thing. Okay, now another difference you can take, that this respiration is a chain of reactions. Okay, it's a huge chain. It is not a simple process that means substrate is converted into product just in one go. It takes up to phases. It takes in that particular phase. In one particular phase, you go for at least 8 to 10 reactions simultaneously. Then only that particular process can be completed. So that is a chain of reactions, while here it is not the case. In burning, it's quick. Once you burn it, it ends up. Okay, so it's a quick one. It is not a chain of reaction. Okay, and another thing you can have a difference, that here whatever respiration in your body or in the plants or in the microorganism, in the cells, if the respiration is going on right now, also the respiration is going on, you are sitting, you are writing, you are reading, it requires energy. So your body is right now utilizing ATP. Okay, because your brain is working, there also the ATP is required. So wherever the cellular respiration occurs, it is based on the body temperature of that particular organism, whether it is plants or whether it is animals or microorganism or humans. Okay, so uh, right now, if because respiration is taking place in your body, can you feel any sort of high temperature for that? See, right now your brain is working, right? Your brain is understanding, it is thinking, it is seeing the things I am writing, it is reading the things you are going through your book. So, brain is working right now. Just touch your head. Can you? It is becoming hot if the cellular respiration is going on. Nothing like that will be there. Okay, but burning is for the high temperature. Wherever the burning process occurs, then the temperature is very high. Okay, so this is the difference between that. And another you can take that because of this process, a huge amount of energy is released. Okay, and it is in form of ATP. So energy is released in form of ATP and little amount of heat is also released. Okay, suppose if you are, let me take up the example that if you are walking, if you are doing any sort of physical work, at that time you are because you are continuously involved in the physical activity. At that time energy is being utilized, your body is utilizing lot of energy, lot of ATPs. At that time little amount of heat is produced and that will keep your body warm. That's why in during the winters, uh, what you do, you just walk to make your body warm, or before starting the exercise or physical uh, exercise. If you are starting, then you require a warm up session. Have you heard this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so little amount of heat, that heat will not raise the temperature of your body. Just do understand, whatever the heat is produced by cellular respiration, it will not raise the temperature of your body. It will just keep your body warm, keep your body soothing. Understood? So that is what the cellular respiration is there. And here only heat is produced, ATP is not produced. Okay, by burning, ATP is not produced, only heat is produced. And one important thing that while burning of the thing, light is also produced. While in respiration, it is not there. Okay, so it's a funny thing, right? Suppose if respiration also produces light, so if you are using your brain, suppose somebody is using the brain and suddenly your brain lights up, if this reaction will produce light, then wherever you are utilizing energy, that particular body part will light up. How it will be seen? Will it look funny? Okay, so that is what we say. Light is not being produced. In burning, light is produced. So this is the difference between cellular respiration and burning. You can just go through the difference from your textbook also. Is there anything, any point which is not done by me? Just go through, read it. Is it done?
Yes, miss.
Anything which I have not covered or you have not understood?
No, miss.
Okay, fine. For everyone it is all okay. For others it's all good.
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So that is what the difference between respiration and burning, and aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Fine. So uh, this much part is, if it is clear to you, let me take up further that in plants, from where this respiration occurs, what are the channels which helps in the respiration? Okay, because in humans we know it's a nose. Okay, nose is the place through which the respiration can be done, but where from the plants? So it is very much important for the plants, as we have nose. Do understand that in plants, uh, organ system is not there. Do you understand? I think you must have read this in bio that cell makes up tissue, tissue makes up tissue system, that leads to the organ, and organ leads to the organ system. For organism, you must have studied this. Do you know this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, but for plant, nothing like organ or organ system is there. It stops here only till tissue system. So what type of tissues are responsible for the plants and respiration, for the respiration in the plants, for the respiration in the photosynthetic uh, organisms? So what is happening that three types of noses, let me say, three types of uh, locations are there through which the respiration can be done in the plant. First is stomata. Okay, stomata are present in leaves. Okay, so stomata are present on the leaves, so they are responsible for the respiration. Second, you can take up lenticels. Okay, so these lenticels are present on the trunk or bark of trees. See, why I am writing trees? Because the reason is, if you take up the old trees, if you are taking up the bigger trees, have you seen the trunk? It's too thick and it is all covered by the woody layers. Okay, so if it is covered by the layers, then how it will be respiring? Then a special type of holes are being made by the plants through which the exchange of gases can be done. Special type of pores or holes, whatever you say. So pores are being prepared by the plant, and these pores will be responsible for the exchange of gases, and they are called lenticels. Okay, and third is surface of roots. Even roots also do the respiration. I think you must have, if you have a garden in your house, or if you are interested in gardening or planting up the uh, plants at your home, then or if you have seen your mother or father who is very much interested in doing that, that if you have a small pot in which you have a plant and you are watering it, you are providing everything to it, but still it is dying, then what your mother will do, she will dig that the upper layer of soil for that plant. Once it is big dig, then the plant will be happy, because the surface of root can absorb breathe easily when, because after watering, what happens that soil is getting wet, and because it is wet, it will not allow the exchange of gases easily. But once you dig it up, then the exchange of gases will be easier for the plants, for the roots, and that's why absorption of the gases is easier for the roots from the open environment. So uh, type three locations where respiration occurs in the plants can be studied further. Understood this? Okay.
Yes, miss.
Okay. Fine. So if this much is clear, uh, do you know the structure of stomata? Fine. Let me draw it for you. So stomata. See, it is made up of word stoma. Stoma itself means pore. Okay. So if you see, if this is the leaf, and if you see the upper surface of the leaf under the microscope, then you can see the stomata, and it can be seen something like this. Two kidney shaped cells can be observed. Okay. And like this. And these two kidney shaped cells will be surrounded by many of the cells like this, supporting cells. Okay, you don't have to need the labeling for this. These cells have their names, but you don't have to study them. So this is the pore, this is the nose, which act as a stoma, and through which the exchange of gases occurs. Okay, it takes up O2, gives out CO2. Okay, or it takes up CO2, gives out O2, because in plants you must have heard about the other process also, photosynthesis. It requires CO2 also. But this is the place from where the exchange of gases occurs. And let's see about the lenticels, because it's a bark of tree. If I draw a bark or the trunk of the old tree, then it will be covered with so many layers like this of wood. As it is being covered, it is very much difficult for the plant to survive. So if you see under the microscope, then let me magnify this much region. So what happens, this much region you can see that different types of cells are overlapped, and like this, and they will keep a little bit of area open to the inner surface of the plant, and this is how the lenticels can be studied or identified. They are also the small pores, okay, through which the exchange of gases can be done by the plant. And as you know, surface of roots, because roots, wherever the plant is there, roots are the one which provides absorption and everything. So on the surface of the roots only, there are small pores present, and they will be responsible for the exchange of gases from the environment. So that is why farmers do. What they do, they till the land, they do the plowing, they do the tilling, and due to all that, what happens? The fresh air enters into the soil, and that will be good for the plants to survive, to plants to remain fresh. Understood this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so three locations are there through which the respiration in the plants will occur. Okay, anything to be asked?
No, miss.
Fine. So till here, that's all for today, because after that we require a detailed explanation for this. So no need to start right now. Okay. So that is what the respiration in plants. Now see that I am asking you one thing. I got the syllabus of SPS, right? Any other school is there?
It's Sodhpur AG, miss.
Uh, See, you have the exams, right?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So for all the students, the chapters are same. Like cell, you have chapter cell, tissue, flower, pollination and fertilization, seeds, germination and structure, respiration, economic importance of bacteria and fungus, and nutrition. All these chapters are common for all.
Miss, in my school, we have skin and the respiratory system also.
Skin and respiratory system. Fine. Respiration in plants is there?
Yes, miss.
Fine. So that means till here it is okay. You are going good with the syllabus, right?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So you have that. And these people. Fine. Let's see how much we can. You have economic importance of bacteria and fungus.
Yes, miss.
That is also there. And nutrition is also there.
No, miss. Nutrition is in final term.
Nutrition is not there. You have skin and respiratory system after economic importance, right?
Yes, miss.
Fine. So let's see how much we can proceed. But I think you don't have to worry if that is not being done, because major portion of the chapters are being done. Try to cover them up, try to finish them up first. Okay.
Okay, miss.
Okay, so respiration in plants, once we are thorough with this, then see economic importance of bacteria and fungus. I will request you to read that chapter on your own. Okay, and it's a very basic chapter. You will understand it on your own also. You require my assistance in some of the words only, so that will be done by me. But if you are free, just go through that chapter once. Okay.
Okay, miss.
And do send me the picture of this economic importance of bacteria and fungus also. Okay.
Okay, miss.
Okay, fine. So have a good day.
Bye, miss.
Goodbye.